7 o'clock, I'd like to call the regular council meeting for the Township of McNabb Braeside for May the 4th, 2021 to order. We noted that all of council is in attendance this evening. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, there's a couple of changes or additions to the agenda. One was added down, I think it was already added to, but it was added later in the past the deadline, I'm sorry. But there's also a resolution to come forward for tree planting. Whereabouts do you want us to put that in, Lindsay?
So I have two additions. 7.5, we have the CBO tender. And 10.4, I have Claybank tree planting.
7.5 CBO tender.
Yep,
And when was the tree planting?
10.4.
10.4. Thank you. So with those additions and plus the late addition, there was a few changes to the agenda. So I
What-
need a
sorry.
second. Oh, CAO,
What is the late addition that you're referring to?
the resolution for the trees. Well, no, I'm sorry. The late addition was under new business with the mayor's update on the White Lake Institute. It didn't make it in by Thursday.
Yeah, I did.
I didn't
Isn't
get
it
it,
on there?
but I didn't get it into you till after the deadline.
It's on the meeting though, under 11.2.
Okay, I'm just advising council that it got added after the deadline, so it was a late addition. Either way, it's on the agenda.
Okay,
Okay. So I need a mover and seconder for the agenda as it has been altered. Councillor Broom, Councillor Jacob, all in favor? Carried, thank you. We're down to 6.1, adoption of the previous council meeting minutes. And there's 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3. There's 2 planning act and 1 council meeting. I'll take a mover and seconder for all 3, please. Councillor Lang, Deputy Mayor Armston. 6.1, April 13th, public meeting under the Planning Act bandy. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes as presented? Carried, thank you. 6.2, public meeting under the Planning Act Draper. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes as presented? Carried, thank you. 6.3, the minutes of the regular council meeting for April the 20th. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes as presented? Carried, thank you. We're on to reports. 7.1, Fire Department report. I need a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Broom, Deputy Mayor Armston. Chief Hartwick, are you wanting to speak on this?
If you'd like, I can read the recommendation, or if everybody's read. What would you like?
Okay, if you just want to read the recommendation, then we'll ask council then if they have any questions or comments. Thank you.
That the council for the Township of McNabb Braeside award the 2021 utility vehicle to Black's Corners Carlton Place for the purchase cost of $15,799 plus HST. And further, that the council approve the purchase of 14-foot by 6-foot tandem trailer from R&M Trailer in the amount of $5,350 plus HST.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Councillor Broom?
I just, for one, think the trailer's a really good idea. The guys aren't gonna have to try to get in and out of the back of a truck. I think it's gonna be a lot safer for our firefighters. And since it's a way under budget, even with the trailer, I fully support it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Armstrong?
Thank you, sir. I just think there's just another valued piece of equipment for the firefighters in our township. I know that recently there were a couple of fires in farmland that I know was one of the main reasons why Chief Hartwick wanted this piece of equipment, not to mention the several trails that we have. So I think it'll be a valued asset to our firefighting crew. That's it.
Thank you. Agreed. Just want to thank Chief Hartwick for his work in getting this moved forward. It was part of our 2021 budget. Is there an expected arrival date, Chief, or have we already got it?
We're looking at anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks for the UTV. R&M does have one trailer in stock, and as long as it's still there, we're good. If not, we'll have to wait up to 8 weeks for a trailer.
Okay.
It's all due to COVID.
What
not
is
trying
COVID these days?
Mhm.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Chief. If there's no more questions or comments, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the recommendation? That is carried. Thank you. 7.2, the March 21st financial overview. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lang, Councillor Jacob, Ms. Cogman, please.
Yeah, so March being one of the months when we have to remit quarterly payments to both the county and the school boards, made up the bulk of the almost $2 million that was remitted or paid out to vendors during the month. We also had several holdbacks released on some capital projects as well. And then, of course, on the revenue side, we did have our payment from the fourth quarter of 2020 for the Blue Box. So those are kind of like just the highlights for the month.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? Councillor Jacob and then Councillor Broom.
Just one question through you, Mr. Mayor, to the treasurer. Do we have a sense as to taxation revenues? I know in here, given that the deadline was March 31st, do we have a sense as to whether they're lagging at all? If we have more unpaid accounts than we have in previous years?
As far as our property tax collections, no, we're pretty much status quo. Even as I had reported last year, even in the heights and the peak of our pandemic, we were collecting comparable amounts to previous years, and our receivables were running at the same levels of arrears in past years.
Thank you. Councillor Broom, please.
I just see that the holdback is going to be handed out for Millridge Road. Did we ever figure out, is it going to be repaired? Did we figure out what's happening with that yet?
Mr. Frew, please.
The holdbacks are a statutory holdback, so therefore like subcontractors. So it's a legal requirement to pay that 10% back after the lien period. Any of the issues, I looked into the one bump I think that you were discussing at the last meeting. It seems to be either located at a joint in the asphalt where they stopped at one day and they started at the next. So that will be something that we'll be looking at the 1-year warranty to see if there's improvements there that can be made. Sometimes they grind the joint slightly in order to take the bump out of it, or sometimes. So we'll have to look at it and see if it's worth the improvement there. Sometimes they do saw cuts and cut out the joint, and then you're left with more joints after the fact. So it's sometimes, so we'll have to look at the cost or the benefit of the repair. Sometimes is something that you have to look at as well. Is the detriment of the repair worth what is being fixed? So that'll be something that we will look at during the 1-year review, warranty review.
Thank you.
Supplementary.
Councilor Brown, please.
Yeah, no, I was talking about that one joint you're talking about, but also where the road's starting to crack and let go as well. That's what I was talking about. Is there's multiple issues, just not the one.
Thank you. Did you want to make a comment on that, Mr. Frew, or? No. Okay.
No, we'll review the roadway as part of the 1-year review. Some cracking is due to frost, and is not really construction related, but we will review those at that time.
Thank you. Any other questions on the financial overview, 7.2? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting as information? Carried, thank you. 7.3, the bylaw enforcement report for March. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Broom, Councillor Jacob. Any questions or comments on the bylaw enforcement report? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting as information? It's carried, thank you. 7.4 OPP calls for service. Mover and seconder. Councillor Lang, Deputy Mayor Armston. Questions or comments? Councillor Broom.
I just want to say that I was quite surprised with today's issues in the world, that we were down almost 300, well, just over 305 hours of call, which, year to date off of last year I'm taking that as a tremendous win. Mental health issues, the calls have been down. I just, hopefully we can keep this going throughout the year, but to be down 305.3 hours is quite amazing.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of receiving as information? Carried, thank you. On to information items. There's 8.1. Comments received after the public meeting for the public record. Mr. Ed
Sorry.
Carroll.
Mayor Peckett, We had an addition there.
Oh, yeah, sorry. 7.5, the CBO tender. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Jacob, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. Ms. Lee, please. If we had time to read the recommendation there, is any questions or comments on this from council? Deputy Mayor Armstrong?
Well, it's unfortunate, but not really surprising, I guess, if you take a look at the inventory on the lots around the community. So I would be in favor of the recommendation.
Any other comments?
So we think that was part of our problem because we had put a shortish turnaround time on receiving the vehicle. So we think that that may have been part of the issue. So we're going to change that part of the tender a little bit and just ask them to tell us a date that they're able to get it to us. And then we can decide from there how we proceed.
Deputy Mayor Armstrong?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'd support that. The fact of when it comes is less relevant to that it actually comes. So if it takes a little while longer than we would expect under normal circumstances, then the fact is that the CBO gets the vehicle that he needs.
Thank you. Any other questions? So all those in favor of the resolution not to move forward with the tender that was submitted, and with staff direction to revamp the tender and put it out for a longer period?
So that's actually part of the recommendation.
Is it? I haven't got it in front of me, so I can't.
Okay, yeah. So just so
Okay,
you know.
so all in favor? Carried, thank you. So now we're on to 8.1. Mr. Carroll, about OPA number 32, mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Armstrong, Councillor Jacob. I was talking with Ms. Young on this, and it's just to add, make sure that Mr. Carroll may have concerns in future development of the area, and he wanted to make sure that his comments were on record. Is that correct, Ms. Young? Okay, thank you. So all in favor of receiving this information? Carried, thank you. We're down to unfinished business. 10.1, OPA number 32, in regards to Mr. Draper's development. There's a recommendation that the council of the Township McNabb Braeside supports the proposed official plan amendment number 32, and further that the resolution be forwarded to the County of Renfrew supporting the adoption of the amendment. Questions or comments? This is in regards to the property on Usborne Street. Seeing none, all in favor of the recommendation? 2, 3, carried.
So I don't think we got a mover and seconder for that one.
Did I not? Sorry, having a bad night. Moved by Councillor Broom, second by Deputy Mayor Armstrong. All in favor of the recommendation? Carried, thank you. The next one is 10.2, the mayor's updates on the White Lake Women's Institute. I think this would be, could be tied in with the 11.2, Ms. Lee.
Yeah, it was kind of a clerical error that it's on twice. It should be just under 11.2.
Okay, so we'll just, do we have to accept 10.2 as information? Or anyways, or just?
No, if we could just kind of go backwards to the beginning of the meeting and amend the agenda
Okay,
to remove 10.2, if everyone's okay with that.
so I need a mover and seconder to amend the agenda, removing 10.2. Councillor Lang, Deputy Mayor Armstrong, all in favor? Carried, thank you. 10.3, automatic aid agreement with Lanark Highlands. There is a recommendation that the Council of McNabb Braeside approve the changes to the Lanark automatic agreement appendix 2 service fees. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Broom, Councillor Jacob. Did you want to make a comment, Chief?
Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button. So in appendix 2, we added number 3, which would be firefighter compensation will be billed as per the most recently approved compensation bylaw, starting with bylaw number 2018-68.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Broom?
I feel much better with this now. I talked further with Chief about this, and I think this is a win for both municipalities. And my biggest thing is, like I stated, the last one was I was in fear of our residents paying for this, and the numbers that I was showing, we're not even close to our residents coming good for the price of their firefighting. So from what I've seen, we're well covered with this addition of number 3 now.
Thank you. It's, I think it is a good addition. I'd still like to make sure that they maintain their fire station up in that area that is being serviced, because I understand there was some discussion about shutting it down. So I would encourage them to keep that open there. So that at least we're just showing that we're helping their fire department, rather than being the sole firefighting service in that area until such time as they could get there from Lanark, which could be a substantial amount of time in time related to fires, that is. So I'm pleased that we moved forward somewhat. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the recommendation? Carried, thank you. We're on to 10.4, planting of trees at Claybank Park and other areas. I have nothing in front of me, CAO.
We need a mover and seconder, and then we can put it
Yeah,
up.
okay, sorry. Moved by Deputy Mayor Armstrong, second by Councillor Lang.
You guys will just have to let us know when you're ready for us to flip the page.
I'm good.
I'm fine.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go on the tour of the CN rail bed, and I haven't heard anything back of how that went. That was on Monday, I believe. I'm good.
I'm good.
Me too.
I'm good. Thank you. So I do believe there is a resolution. Do we have a number to assign to the resolution?
It'll be assigned when we do the minutes.
Okay, thank you. So I need a mover and seconder for the resolution, CAO. Moved by Councillor Lang, second by Councillor Broom. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'd like to thank Councillor Lang, who's again stepped up to help out with this project, especially in the Claybank area and other areas throughout the township. And I think it's very important that we consider this. It really kind of shocked me when in a meeting with Rod Smith and Gerhard Peters, the amount of acreage of trees that disappears with the construction of 4-lane highway. Not even considering how far it's already into the township as it proceeds out of the township. Mr. Smith has calculated out, I think along with the MTO, that we're going to lose approximately 99 acres of forest with the expansion of the highway. So, and also if you think about the number of new bills within the township, there's always a certain amount of forest area that is lost with each new build. Not everyone, but a lot of them. And especially like if you look at right across the road from the township where a lot of the trees and everything have been cut down in preparation for construction in those areas. So and when this program first came about, I thought trees, why does McNabb Braeside need trees? We've got lots of trees, but then when you stop to think about how many we're losing all the time, every year, it's amazing the number of acres that add up to it. So I think it's very important that the township move forward with this project and help the Rotary Club as much as possible, and they're going to help us work together to plant as many trees as we possibly can within McNabb Braeside. Councillor Lang, please.
Yeah, just to add to that, Mayor Peckett, I was on the Zoom meeting with MTO and Rotary Club Arnprior set that up. It was very illuminating to discover how many trees are being lost, but also I was really encouraged to hear how MTO actually is becoming more and more proactive in planting trees to replace those that it destroys or whatever when, it widens highways. So the group that was in the session, there were about 5 of them, they're very excited, I think, to enter into some sort of partnership with the township, or at least interested in looking into how they can help us with our tree planting endeavors. And another point I want to make is that I think it's really fortunate that we have this burgeoning partnership or relationship with Rotary Club Arnprior. I think we're going to see a lot of benefits out of this emerging partnership, and I'm very grateful for the type of caliber of people who are members of Rotary Club. Rod Smith is a retired forester, and he's certainly got a wide breadth of experience when it comes to tree planting.
Thank you. Mr. Smith also has a lot of very, very good contacts from when he was working that he's kept in his retirement, which always helps in projects like this. Is there any other comments on the resolution? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So we're on to 11.1 under new business. KDSA development limit extension of draft approval. This is things that come up from time to time in different developments. So I need a mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Armstrong, Councillor Broom. Any questions or comments from council? I just have one. Is this this doesn't, is this prevent, is this for phase 2 or is this for the existing phase? This is, must be phase 2, is it? I see Ms. Young nodding her head.
It is. It's well, the whole thing was draft approved all as one, but she's decided to develop it in 2 phases. So this is just so she can continue with the development of phase 2.
Right, right. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments? On the recommendation to extend the draft approval for another year? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 11.2 White Lake Women's Institute request for financial assistance. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Jacob, Councillor Broom. As you recall, at the last meeting, we did not support either the Fountain or the White Lake Women's Institute, but I did state that it wasn't over. And talking with our CAO and our treasurer, Ms. Coghlan, trying to find some money that we could help out the Women's Institute in White Lake. In talking with the deputy mayor today, he made a comment that this last year and this year are just exceptional years because of COVID, and people are struggling, and especially those who try to help out other people in our community by having fundraisers and social events where they can obtain funds in order to do good work and help people within the community. So we come up with an idea, or I guess the treasurer and our CEO has come up with an idea which I think I like, and that is that we will take the money this year and this year only from convention money that has been set aside for council members in the amount of $1,500 for each member of council and $2,000 for the mayor. Now, I understand that the only council member, Councillor Jacob, has expended a portion of his $1,500. And the information I got today that it was $798, I believe, very close to $800. So in order to make it fair for all council members, my recommendation is that we take $700 from each council member from the $1,500 that they have in reserve for conventions this year, and none of which are going to be other than virtual. And then take $1,200 from the mayor's convention fund from the township to make a total of $4,000, of which we could provide to the White Lake Women's Institute for this year and this year only, done in that manner. Anything else in the future would have to be done under the policy and accounted for in our 2022 budget, which we will be starting to work on in September, not that far away. So it was the CAO and the treasurer who came up with the idea where to get the money. I know I expended, or I'm requesting a little bit more than was suggested, but I think the 4,000 would be a doable thing, taken from that area of our finances in order to help out the Women's Institute of White Lake for this year and this year on. Questions or comments? Councillor Broom.
I'd like to thank the CAO and treasurer. What a, thinking outside the box. And if you look since 1905, I believe, the amount of work and whatever they've given to the township, I think this is just terrific that, staff was able to think outside the box and help such a long running institution in the township. I think it's great. Thank you, ladies, for going the extra mile.
Any other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Armstrong.
I'm not one to echo comments made by other people in the meeting, but I would like to say thank you, not only for the Women's Institute, but for the residents of McNabb Braeside that do get support from the funds raised by this valued institution in our community, and thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So do we need to bring forward a resolution at the next council meeting, CAO, or can we have a mover and seconder to do this tonight?
I think we can do it tonight.
Okay, can we use the mover and seconder that I guess we can't, it got the new business on the floor, so I guess we can't because we're having the resolution would be that the Township of McNabb Braeside provide a one-time funding for the White Lake Women's Institute in the amount of $4,000 for the year 2021.
To be taken from,
Oh, to be taken from Counselor and Mayor's Convention Fund. Everyone good with that? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. 11.3 electronic filing system. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lang, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. Recommendation, council approve an additional $4,000 from the modernization funding towards the implementation of electronic filing system. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. That was an easy one. No notice of motions. We're on to bylaws. Bylaw 13.1, 2021-21 site plan agreement authorization, lot 12, Madawaska Shores. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Armstrong, Councillor Lang. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the bylaw? Carried, thank you. 13.2 bylaw 2021-22 borrowing by bylaw BMO updated May 2021. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Jacob, Councillor Broom. This was the one that I started to talk about at the last meeting. I knew it was coming. Something that happens every year. Questions, comments? Seeing Ms. Cogman, please.
I just wanted to point out, I'm sure council already picked up on this, but the purpose of this bylaw was already passed by council in January. But we're seeing a growing trend with the current credit card limit for the corporation, where we're having to send payments in between statements because we're already exceeding or meeting the limit. So we're seeking an increase to $20,000 for all corporate, a total for the corporate credit cards, as opposed to 10,000 that we used to have.
Thank you. Ms. Young, did you have your hand up? No, okay. Just goes to show you how far $10,000 goes these days, eh? Not very far. Any other questions about this bylaw? All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Bylaw 2021-23, reduce loads on township roads. Second. There we go. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Armstrong, Councillor Jacob. Questions or comments? See, there's a slight, I guess, change, Mr. Frew, and that was these roads always
So the just the wording of the roads were a little bit, just because the old bylaw was before Highway 17 was constructed, so there was still the intersection at Pine Grove and Division. with the highway. So that was just clarifying that. The main change was 0.2. In certain years when it is dry and it's a early thaw, the reduced loads are typically removed before the May 31st deadline. This year, the county reduced or removed theirs as of this Monday, which would be May 3rd. And most other townships follow the county with removing their load limits at the same time, just because of once they remove their load limits, the traffic begins, or a lot of the hauling begins. It's not to say that we will follow them completely. We would be kind of looking this year, likely next Monday, to remove the load limits. We'll have to just review them again this week, but it gives us the flexibility either to remove those limits and the authorization to do so prior to the May 30th, as well as putting on it. If it's a long winter, the reduced load may be pushed further into March than March 1st. So it gives us the flexibility to adjust that load limit dependent on the season and the weather that we see.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor of the bylaw? Carried. Thank you. Any members of the public want to ask any questions about tonight's meeting, CAO?
There's no hands up right now.
Okay. There is no closed meeting. There's notices for upcoming meetings. So I need a mover and seconder for the confirmatory bylaw, please. Councillor Brown, Councillor Lang, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.